Hello and welcome back to the Bottom Bins. Here we have another week of Premier League coverage coming up to sort of clutch time of the season now at the minute. Once again, just another strange week of results in the Premier League. We have Arsenal, who sort of looked down and out, managed to pull 3 points out of nowhere. We have City, who couldn't capitalise on their victory at Arsenal during the week. Just one of those weeks where it's just strange this season, man. Just strange. Oh, and I'm going to come to you first, and the game I want to talk about first is Man City and Forest, and I want to go to them first because during the week, City managed to turn Arsenal over relatively easily. You would say it's probably the worst Arsenal have played at home.
Yeah, the second half definitely. Yeah.
Definitely, big time. City look like they're back in command of the title, and then they go to Nottingham Forest and they only draw 1-1. Talk me through it. What's going wrong there? Why are City not picking up 3 points there realistically?
Well, simple answer is they just couldn't finish their dinner. The amount of clear-cut chances that City had from Haaland, Grealish, like Navas made a few half-decent saves. You could save from Gundogan free, you could save from Laporte's header. But most of the chances were just being spurred by City. There was one Foden was straight through and he took too long to make his mind up, and then he ended up making a Hames out of it, and it was cut out. Look, at this season, as you've been talking about, is just generally weird. Like, we've got so used to the last couple of seasons with City and Liverpool at each other's throats that whoever wins the title might only lose one game and draw two more. But this feels like an older type season where it's not going to be a 90 points wins you, it's going to be 86 or 83 or points wins it, because there's going to be so much more twists in the tail. And look, I know Owen's been arguing and shoving it down my throat, and I've argued staunchly against it, but United are now involved with the way results are going. You kind of thought, when Arsenal beat United, that Arsenal and City were going to romp, and the only teams that were going to beat each other were Arsenal and City.
Yeah.
But the way this season's going is teams are going to lose stupid points, like City yesterday.
Yeah.
That was a horrible result for Manchester City. After getting the great highs and putting Arsenal probably feeling under a lot of pressure, the camp might have been a bit down. They got a massive win earlier on the day. Might have put a bit more pressure on City. But City should be going to Forest and winning. And the chances they had, the chances they spurred, it was just like they had Forest. Like, you see teams like Brentford, they've defended great against City and hit them in the counter attack. It wasn't really like a great defensive performance in Forest, because still let City in, still gave City chance after chance. It's just City just couldn't finish it there. And then what obviously Forest game plan was to try and stay in the game as long as possible. They did that through sheer luck. But when they did, they got their goal later on. That's exactly what they would have set out to during the week, and it was a great point for Forest. And look, at Forest are unbeaten now at home since September, is it?
Yeah, September.
So that's a great record for Forest, but it was just a really bad display from City. Like, you can't talk about it like, they didn't really show up, 'cause they did show up until the final second. The final decision making was just horrendous. Like, Haaland missed an open goal twice in the space of 5 seconds. Like, it just was so unlike them when it came to finishing. Usually you think City have clinical outfit, get the job done in the first half, having scored 3 or 4 goals, cruise in the second half, but it just haven't been like that at all this season. They showed sparks of it. They showed a bit of it against Arsenal. They showed like they turned the corner against Aston Villa as well last week when they had the job done. 3-0 at half time, you're starting to think, as not from an Arsenal point of view, oh god, here comes the City we know. They're probably not going to lose another game this season. They're probably going to end up winning the title by 7 or 8 points or something, but it's just not looking. They're not looking like themselves at the minute. Whatever's wrong there, and there's clearly something wrong there.
Well, look, I would completely agree with you, Owen. There has to be something going on there. Connor, I'll come to you next. Look, Haaland missed what is probably, and honestly, a real contender probably for your boob of the week this week, Owen.
No spoilers, but it is.
You've gone for it, yeah. Look, I mean, absolutely sheer stupidity. Like, the fact that he misses the first chance and then it comes back at him and he still balloons the second one.
Smash it in. Yeah.
What have you been making of Haaland recently? Because look, as all of us are avid fantasy players, and we all do love our fantasy football, Haaland hasn't been picking up the same amount of points, and when you watch City now, it's reflected in their performances. We had said a couple of weeks ago that City needed to try and play through Haaland more, but do you think Haaland's given City enough at this current moment of time?
I think we said that about Haaland, like, he maybe doesn't suit the way City play because they don't get the ball to him quick enough and they don't use his pace enough because a lot of teams sit deep. He did score against Arsenal, which was a good goal. I still think Haaland's a good player. I still think maybe he doesn't suit the system, Pep's system as well, but he's still a top player, and I can't believe he missed the chance. I think I had him captain the fantasy too, so it's gutted. But how does he miss from there? I think he just tried to smash it into the top corner. But you got to give credit to Force. Like, they stuck in the game, as someone said. Like, some of the misses though, like the Laporte header was dreadful, and I think Foden nearly fell over. His form is completely dipped too. There's other players in City that have been underperforming.
Yeah.
Obviously, Grealish played well again. He got an assist, but you got to give credit to Force, who were missing their two centre backs. You know, the guy Worrell came in and he played deadly. He was probably man of the match, and they took their chance. One shot on target for Force. I think it is just a case. This game is just City didn't take their chances. They played well. Pep said it. They played well. He said a brilliant performance, but they just didn't take their chances. Haaland has to score that goal. They have to win this game. They've just beaten probably, well, they're their biggest rival for the Premier League. But for City, this is two drop points, and this I think this will cost them. Like,
well, in all seriousness, Connor, like obviously Haaland come in the summer for 70 million, and all the talk around that transfer was he was supposed to be the one player that could turn those say 1 points or those losses in Champions League games into victories. But does a game like that just sort of prove to you a little bit that maybe there still needs something more?
Yeah. It's a weird one because he scored 26 goals. So you can't really slag him. Like, I can't be like, oh, Haaland shouldn't be playing for Man City, because he is like probably one of the best strikers in the world. Maybe it's just like Jesus seemed to suit City. Like his hold-up play was good, and he got the other players into play. Or maybe it's more, we need to get the ball to Haaland, we need to get crosses into him. It's such a hard question, isn't it? You see pundits saying, oh, Haaland's like he's costing City this season, but it's just not him not taking those chances. There's a lot of other players that have underperformed. Like Foden this year has been very poor, and he started the year so well.
Do you see similarities between City this season and Man United last season?
In what way?
So pundits keep saying Haaland's the problem.
So they were saying Ronaldo's
and
the problem.
Last season Ronaldo was the problem, but Ronaldo was still putting up those
he's
those
putting
big
up his
numbers,
but maybe he wasn't working well in that team.
Yes.
And then you're even seeing, even though Weghorst isn't scoring the goals, maybe his work rate is helping him. Maybe they're missing that, what Jesus brought to the team, you know. It's such a hard question, because if he hadn't scored 26 goals, I could argue it maybe, but he scored 26 goals. He is a good finisher, and he just scored against Arsenal. So it's just such a hard question. I just don't know.
It's hard to know.
They're still going okay. They're still up the other top of the league. Obviously, they're not going as well as previous years. There's been a wee bit of a dip, but I just don't think it's him. I think it's other players have dipped as well. Even defensively, like the goal was poor enough, like just across the box and just a tap in. Like you don't really see that with City usually. Like one chance, one goal, they just fell asleep for like that split second. You know.
Yeah. No, agreed, lad. Agreed. Oren, look. Over the last few years that City have won the league, so Pep Guardiola has been in charge from 2016-17, and throughout that time he has had 4 seasons out of those 6 where he has put together a string of wins over double digits. In those seasons when he has put that string of wins together, they've gone on to win the title. Now, in the season 16-17, his longest winning run was only 6 games. They finished 3rd. In the season 2019-20, their longest winning streak was 5 games. They finished 2nd. This season, their longest winning streak in the league this season. Can any of you guess what it is?
3 games, maybe?
3.
Wow.
3 games. And they're sitting in 2nd currently at the minute. Does that sort of trend say to you, look, City really need to go on a run here? Like, I understand what Owen's saying, and I agree. I don't think this is the type of season where Arsenal and City are going to end up on like 90 odd points each. But would a form table like that worry you?
As if I was a Manchester City fan?
If you were a Man City fan, yes.
Yeah, it would, to tell you the truth. Like, this is since the new owners come in, if City fans are used to Man City dominating the league. They're used to them and Liverpool being the 2 teams at the top of the table, winning all these games. Like a Man United fan, even though over the last few years I've been quite optimistic, I go into every game thinking United's going to win because I think United should win. Whereas Manchester City fans are going in thinking City are going to win because City have the best players in the world and they should win easily. They should win comfortably.
Yeah.
Like, I only think that United's going to win everything because I'm fucking brain dead sometimes when it comes to Man United. But Man City have a reason to think that they're going to go into every game and smash every opponent around them because they're the best players in the world.
And probably best manager too,
and probably one of the best managers ever.
Yeah.
So it does worry me, but like we've seen over the last few weeks, and I know this is a blip for Man City, but it's so easy to drop points and gain points, especially up at the top. Like these are teams, especially the top three, they really are fighting for the league. I think they've basically solidified themselves in the top four, so them three are really focusing on the league. So they just need to try and make them draws into wins, and they need to maybe go back to basics and take Holland out of the team, perhaps, and see how they work without him, because yes, he's scoring loads and loads of goals, but if he's affecting the entire team, there's no point having one absolute superstar if he's going to affect the entire team. Like we've seen with Cristiano Ronaldo last year. United were probably playing the best football under Ollie since Sir Alex, with Edinson Cavani up front, and then that dynamic was completely changed when Ronaldo came in. So maybe that's sort of the same thing happening now for Man City. But look, again, as I once said, Forest at home have been really, really good this season. And City ultimately probably should have won the game. It's just about claiming them 3 points now, especially at a crucial point in the season.
Yeah, fair enough, lad. Fair enough. Okay, moving it then to Arsenal, the team that are above Manchester City in the league again. They were only displaced for 3 days. So that's 3 days since the start of the season they haven't been at the top of the Premier League table. Owen, look, they really had to dig a result out there. For large periods of the game, personally, I thought Villa were actually the better side. I thought Villa created some very, very clear-cut chances. And again, what I seen there was just the difference in quality levels between the two teams. You have a side that's very comfortable to take their chances when they arrive, and a side who maybe, don't have the same calibre of player that can do it as regularly as what the Arsenal boys can. But listen, what did you make of the game, and do you think that's a positive step in the right direction for Arsenal again?
Yeah, it definitely is a step in the right direction for Troy Deeney very famously declared Arsenal lacking cojones.
Yes.
I feel they showed their cojones this weekend.
Yes.
When things weren't going against them, because look, if Arsenal had dropped points at Villa Park, their title challenge had essentially capitulated. Look, I know City went on and dropped points, but the whole dark cloud around the Emirates is just getting darker and darker. As you alluded to, Villa were very good, especially in the first half. I thought in the first half, Buendia and Coutinho worked really, really well with each other.
Yeah.
We saw it for Coutinho's goal, the lead from Buendia, and it was a great finish. And Watkins' goal as well was a great finish. Saliba looked like he'd done enough to prevent it, but
yes.
Watkins just showed great strength and speed and a brilliant finish to get it past Ramsdale. I feel Arsenal did kind of grow into the game a wee bit. I feel Jorginho started to get a bit of a grip in the midfield as the game went on. I feel Arsenal kind of deserved the goal towards the end when they started pressing, because when Arsenal do go for a game, they go really, really well. It's just they're a bit timid,
yes.
Especially after they got the early setback, and there might have been a wee bit of doubt and stuff creeping in their heads. And then when Odegaard missed that golden opportunity, there would have been a wee bit of thought of oh my god, here we go again, we're going to drop points and this is the end. But they did really, really well to fight back. I'm not gonna lie, I did chuckle slightly at the way they got the goal from Emi Martinez. I'll be honest, I was up the stairs because I was going to Roscommon that night, so I was packing a bag, kind of listening down the radio or from the commentary, and I heard the commentator say either that's a massive goal or a massive blow for Arsenal. So I had to run down the stairs because I didn't know what way the goal went, and then I was just seeing Emi Martinez doing a perfect diving header into the bottom corner, and then you see Unai Emery was fuming at him for going up for the corner, and I can kind of see where he's coming from, because Villa probably weren't going to get a point from that game anyway. How many times has the goalkeeper actually scored in that scenario? Yeah. And goal difference could be crucial come the end of the season, so it's kind of throwing away a goal, and obviously to disobey your manager isn't a good sign. So look, we know what Emi Martinez is like. He's his own man. He loves to be a wind-up merchant, but sometimes you give too much, you're going to have to take some.
Yes.
Like the only reason there was 8 additional minutes was because Emi Martinez decided that a goal kick was at least a 3-minute scenario.
Yes.
Look, it was a massive win for Arsenal. The way the weekend went, it became an even bigger win for Arsenal. It's got them back on track. They need to follow it up now next week with another win.
Yes.
So it's good signs for Arsenal. They might have kind of righted the ship a wee bit, but it remains to be seen if they're fully back on track yet.
Yes, fair enough. Connor, just like Owen mentioned there, obviously the Emi Martinez incident, it was a big talking point from this weekend. For Unai Emery to come out so publicly after the game as well and really, really slate the player. There is a a previous relationship between the two. Apparently they did not see eye to eye when Martinez and Emery were at Arsenal. So what's the sort of conclusion of a situation like that? Obviously, you do look at Emery Martinez, and he is a World Cup winner now.
Yeah.
Do you think possibly he sees himself as bigger than Aston Villa?
I seen actually he was coming out kind of saying he wants to play Champions League football. And then even Emery, when he was at the World Cup, even his antics after, he was very disappointed in that kind of thing. So as you said, there's been history as well. Obviously, he didn't even ask the manager whether he could come forward. In the end up, it didn't really affect the score. Like, they were going to lose anyway, but you know, the manager has the final authority. He has the final decision, and he's kind of, as you say, maybe he's a bit too big for the club. His antics throughout the game were pretty poor too. Like, he was taking forever to get the ball. He's kind of messing about, and then the goal was it was unlucky, to be fair to him. I didn't think he had a particularly strong game. I thought the Zinchenko shot, could he got to it, maybe sighted a bit differently or short-sighted from it, but yeah, I thought, like, see Villa as well, I thought they played okay, especially first half, but see the second half, they give away the ball constantly, and they just put pressure on themselves. They did. You can see under Emery, they do play high pressure. They're putting Arsenal under pressure, which did work. But when you just keep giving away the ball and you can't hold the ball, it's just not going to work. You're going to concede goals, and this is the fourth successive game at home they've conceded 4 goals, which is just
It's criminal, really.
criminal, really.
The Zinchenko goal was criminal as well.
Yeah, after in the corner. Yeah, they were sleeping.
3 different Villa men pointed at him. They just have to go.
And no one
go
got
down.
out. No one got out.
None of them had the sense to go, well, I'll go and take him then. Like, there was no accountability there. It was, he hasn't. No, you take him. And
with Villa as well, like, even I think it was the Leicester game a few weeks ago, like, they just give away so many silly goals, like, just per play. You know, I thought Arsenal deserved the win probably at the end, but you know, I thought they depended too much on Saka. Every ball was going towards him, and they were just doubling up. And if you're going to depend on a player like that so much, teams are going to realise it. And I think a lot of teams are realising, Arsenal as well, maybe not physically strong enough. A lot of teams are, hitting them.
Sort of muscling them out a wee bit.
I've seen that even with City and Brentford the last few games. And like this was a big result for Arsenal, because if they'd drawn or lost this game, who knows what would have happened in the City game. You don't know the psychological effect it can have on a team. Ramsdale's save was massive as well, tipping that onto the crossbar, because I think if that goal goes in, Arsenal's beat.
It's game over.
You know, and you need that bit of luck. And Jorginho, as Owen was saying, was very good. Like, his passing.
It's probably the most progressive I've seen him play the ball.
Yeah.
He was very good. Arteta even said after the game, he's like, he makes players better. Maybe that is his standout role. He does make players better. He had the shot. He had he's only with the team a few weeks, but
2 weeks,
said,
3 weeks.
I'm going to have a shot here. And he got it. He got the luck, but it was a screamer.
It was
Like,
it was. No, he did. He had it quite flush.
but for Arsenal, I think that is a massive win, because they hadn't won, I think, in 3 or 4 games, and that, what are they now, 5 points clear, game in hand.
Yes.
Yeah, their last win was the United game, wasn't it?
But with Villa, I do think Martinez, he might just boot him in the summer. Not boot him, but if a big club comes in, a bit of money, he could be away.
Yeah.
He won't fight too hard to keep him.
Oren, look, Martin Odegaard missed a big chance within the game, and really, if he had scored that, the game could have looked like a completely different outcome, and you'd have said, wow, that was very comfortable for Arsenal. But the thing I liked about it was, after he missed the shot, he actually just turned his performance levels up another level. And especially the last 20 minutes, I think that's probably some of the best football I've seen Odegaard play ever in his career. Really, really took the game. And that's the thing, that title winners need to do this. You have to take the game by the balls, and even if it is just one player, they have to drag their team through. Odegaard certainly looked like that player. Listen, he's having a phenomenal season, Oren. Is he the shoe-in for the player of the year?
It's hard, like, personally, from a personal standpoint, yes. However, it's hard to argue with a fella with 26 goals.
Yeah,
that's true.
But in terms of actual playing ability, Martin Odegaard is it. And he showed this year why he is one of the best young talents in world football. He showed this year why Real Madrid invested heavily in him when he was a 16-year-old child. Look, he's phenomenal. I was, and I have to say, I was sceptical about Martin Odegaard coming into this season. I know he's played for Arsenal for a couple of seasons, but coming into this season, he was given the captain's armband, which is a huge honour for one of the biggest clubs in the world
At such a young age, too.
at such a young age. What is he, 24?
24.
And he has taken that like duck to water. He has been absolutely phenomenal. He has showed why he is the leader in the dressing room. He has showed his character in matches like against Aston Villa, where they need that man, as you said, they need that man to bring them through, because it's a very, very young team, that Arsenal team. And although although Odegaard is young, he has experience behind him.
Yeah, it
Oh,
feels
yeah.
like he's been around for
Yeah, it feels like
years.
He's been around
years.
for a long, long time among some of the biggest clubs in Europe, and
Training alongside some of the biggest
training alongside some of the
personalities
biggest
in
personalities in world football.
Mhm.
Yeah. So he showed why he is so crucial to that team. He showed why, if Arsenal are to continue on their, let's say, title route, if he gets injured, that's a massive, massive,
big blow.
massive
Yeah,
blow
big blow.
for not just Arsenal but the Premier League.
Do you think he's a bigger blow? If he gets injured, do you think that's a bigger blow to Arsenal than, say, if Partey got injured?
Yeah, because
Yeah.
don't get me wrong. Look, I've said it for weeks, I don't think the squad depth is 100% there for Arsenal, especially in the defensive midfield position. But now that they've signed Jorginho, there's a bit of experience there in midfield at least.
Mm-hmm.
However, if your captain gets injured, that's huge. Not just for his playing performances, which he does week in, week out.
Yes.
The personality in that dressing room is massive. And don't get me wrong, even if he was injured, he'd probably go into the dressing room and still do team talks and stuff. But not having him on the pitch, physically, as we've alluded to already, physically being able to drag the rest of his team through results,
Yes.
and through bad spells in the game, he would be a huge, huge miss for Arsenal. Look, from an unbiased view, I hope it doesn't happen, because he's a talent to watch, and
Yeah.
he's a beautiful footballer. But as a Man United fan, Odegaard, mate, stretch him legs a wee bit more.
I like the way you brought up squad depth there, Oren. I feel, see this like Arteta plan, I feel this sort of success has come maybe a bit early on like the kind of journey that he had set out.
Yeah.
That's maybe why the squad depth is a wee bit lacking, because he hadn't had those transfer windows to build the squad behind the squad, if you know what I mean.
Yes.
Like the last couple of years he's had to fill needs. Every summer there's, okay, Arsenal need a centre half, Arsenal need this, Arsenal need that.
Yeah.
He hasn't had that one transfer window where he can go, right, let's get a luxury player in, let's get another man who can play central midfield, somebody that's
Yes.
behind, a new right winger, a new second choice striker, something
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah.
So that's why I feel Arsenal's squad depth is lacking a wee bit, is because it's kind of not caught them by surprise per se, but I don't think Arteta expected the team to be playing as well as soon.
Yeah.
Yeah, you could definitely see that 100%.
But
Well,
the
look,
club obviously had faith in Arteta.
Yeah.
But yeah, I understand what you're saying. When you look at Man City, if somebody gets injured in Man City, they have somebody who's just as good, a world-class talent, to come and straight slot in.
and then if somebody else to come and fill in on the bench for them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
You know, it's crazy. Well, look, I'm going to move it on to Manchester United now. Rampant 3-0 display against Leicester City. Warren, I'll come to you first with it. Look, really struggled sort of in the first half.
Yeah.
They were lucky to go in 1-0 up, but really, second half, again, that is probably the most dominant I have seen Man United. And the commentator said it on the Premier League coverage that we watched. It was reminiscent of a United team from the 90s. The swagger was back. It was like everything Leicester threw at them, United just were like, that's brutal.
Mm-hmm.
Like, how about we hit you? Wave after wave after wave after wave of attack. That's the best I've seen Bruno Fernandes play in a Manchester United shirt. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. He didn't give the ball away once. Everything pinpoint accuracy. Jadon Sancho on the score sheet, and the best football player in the world right now, just doing what he has to do and sticking 2 balls in the back of the Leicester net. Talk me through it.
Unbelievable. As you say, first 20 minutes a bit shaky for United. First 5 minutes we got into the game, I was thinking, you know what, we're going to pump these. And then next 15-20 minutes, Leicester kind of put the pressure on United. However, as you said, United just flexed their muscles and said, you know what, we're better than you. Don't get me wrong, game could have been changed if it wasn't for a massive save from David De Gea from Harvey Barnes. A fabulous save as well. And we've been talking about this among ourselves, Richie. We've seen a bit of a different De Gea in the last week or so, between the Barca game and the Leicester game. Came for a couple of corners and stuff, which was good to see. But yeah, Marcus Rashford, not much else can be said about the man, but he is the best footballer in the world at the minute. On current form, no other footballer in the top 5 leagues has scored more goals since the World Cup. So there's stats to back up why he's the best in the world at the minute.
16 goals, the closest to him is Karim Benzema on 10.
On 10, yeah. He's a fucking fabulous footballer, to tell you the truth, Richie. A fucking fabulous footballer. Look, I love him. He's brilliant. And he's that type of player. He'll bring a team forward. If your team's in a rut, he's the man. Much like Martin Odegaard, but it is really, really hard to not praise Bruno Fernandes. What an absolute fabulous footballer he is. As you said yesterday, everything just clicked for him. Everything he touched turned to gold. And what I love about United under Ten Hag, their free-flowing attacking football and their counter-attacking football is absolutely phenomenal. Their quick passes. We've seen a rejuvenation of Aaron Wan-Bissaka, who I know only came off the bench, but he came off the bench and played unreal with Jadon Sancho on that right-hand side.
Definitely, lad.
Look, it's a good time to be a Man United fan, and as I said to you after Thursday night, there isn't a ground or a team that I fear Manchester United going into it and losing. The boom is back.
Love that. Love those words. I love that positivity. So I'm going to have to come to the negative Man United fan now.
No,
Mr. Dorman.
realistic.
Connor, listen. Ten Hag has realistically come in and revolutionised the way Man United are playing football at the minute, but you can still see at times, and at certain games this season, you can see there are improvements in the side that he still wishes to make.
Yeah.
Now, it's been a pondering question over the last few weeks, but David De Gea has just broken the clean sheet record for Manchester United. He's had 180 clean sheets for Manchester United, but still a lot of talk about his future at the club and where that's going to lie. You can see clearly still an absolutely excellent shot stopper.
World class.
But with the ball at his feet, still struggles that little bit, although he did complete 7 out of 7 of his long passes yesterday, which is a positive step in the right direction.
Definitely.
Could you see De Gea staying on past this season, or do you think he's still looking for something different from a goalkeeper? And I'll give you another perspective on that question as well. Let's say he does get another keeper, Connor, and you do lose some of that shot stopping ability. Do you still look at United and go, well, some of the games they've won this year realistically might have been losses or might have been draws without De Gea in the stick? So what's the right compromise in a situation such as this?
Yeah, it's a tough one because De Gea shot stopping ability is probably the best in the world. His 2 saves yesterday were just both unbelievable. Kept us in the game, because if you go down 1-0 to Leicester, it's probably a totally different game. I do think Ten Hag does want a new goalkeeper, to be honest. I think he wants a goalkeeper that can pass the ball better. I think your boy at Brentford is perfect, because he's a good shot stopper too. He was playing, who was he playing against? A few weeks ago, even against Arsenal, he was superb. His passing, I think he was like 100%, no, maybe like 90% passing. He made 5 or 6 stops. I do think Ten Hag, see, the thing about De Gea, they're saying, he should take a contract reduction, 250 grand a week or something they're talking about. So maybe he wants to keep him and then get a younger goalkeeper in. I see they're linked to the Leeds keeper as well. He's very young.
Melia.
Yes. So it's a difficult question, because without him yesterday, would they have won that game? It's because you don't know. See United after like the 25th minute, they were superb. Once Rashford got that goal, the confidence, we've made Old Trafford a very difficult place to come. 17 unbeaten. Ten Hag said after the game, we were rubbish in the first half. He expects so much better. And under Ten Hag, as I've said in recent weeks, it's the first time since Ferguson's left that I actually believe in a manager that he is going to bring United back to title. I think titles are not this year, but I think in the future, I think this team will only get better. And if he just gets a few more transfer windows, I just think, and Rashford at the minute is probably he is the most informed player in the world. There's no doubt about it. Like 16 is last 17. So it depends what Ten Hag does want. He wants to dictate the play. He wants to dominate the game. And I think if that's going to happen, you're seeing it even. See, like Ramsdale's an example as well, because Arsenal maybe lost that passing ability they lost that saving ability maybe from like a Martinez, who maybe is a better shot stopper than a Ramsdale, but they gained the passing, and that's the way Arteta likes to play. And Ten Hag wants to play that way. So maybe it's worth it
in the long
run, especially if you're going to dominate games, as we want to do.
Yes.
So I do think he will get a new goalkeeper in
the summer.
I think
you have to be careful with that as well. You've seen instances like Bravo coming in the City,
Yeah.
where it hasn't worked, where you have went for that ball playing goalkeeper over a more traditional shot stopper.
Yeah.
So you do need to get that
Like
mix
the
right.
balance right.
Allison would be the best example because
Yeah.
I think he's the best all-round keeper. Like it's not today's game has changed for goalkeepers. You can be a good shot stopper and a good passer.
Well,
So it's not one,
you
you know.
need-
You can, but as you said, it's going to be a risk. You gotta. That's why I think the boy at Brentford would be a very
a good
good player,
right,
very
optional
young,
goalkeeper.
can pass,
Low cost.
no cost, good, very good keeper.
Yeah.
I reckon he'd be happy enough to sit behind it off the hair for a year.
Yeah, he
and
may
then
have to stay a year.
and then build his way.
build his way in.
Yeah.
I'd
No.
say he's emulated his game off the hair for years as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
Because his shot stopping ability is underrated, 100%. I watched him against Arsenal; he was superb,
very good.
very good.
No, look, completely fair. Completely fair. Owen, what you have there is two opposing managers. Ten Hag, who is just in the job, about 7 months, and you have Brendan Rodgers, who's been at Leicester for quite a bit now, but one at the start of their tenure and one maybe looking like he's coming towards the end of his tenure. Had a fantastic result against Spurs last week, but they didn't offer anything in the game, really. They were...
No, it was kind of back to reality for Leicester. Look, I played well for 25 minutes. If you go to Old Trafford, if you go to the Etihad, if you go to Emirates, if you get a chance, you have to take it.
Yeah.
And if you don't take it, you can see how quickly the game can change. Look, I love Marcus Rashford because he's captain my fantasy team and he's raking the points in for me. But I'm finding each week I'm finding it harder and harder to argue against him being the best player in the world in current form. So you can't let that man score and completely give up. Basically, what Leicester did is Leicester looked like a team who went there and goes, right, we'll keep it 0-0 if we can get a chance to it on. We'll try and do something. Oh, we're 1-0 down. That's right. Well, who we're playing next week? I'll think about that.
Yeah.
That just kind of seemed to be the whole vibe about Leicester.
Yeah.
We've seen it a few times this season where Leicester kind of just
Throw the towel in
just
almost.
passengers in the game.
Yeah.
Really. Maybe the game could have been. Sabitzer was lucky enough to stay on the field, in my opinion. Tell me this: Casemiro was back for the League Cup final, isn't he?
Yes.
Yeah.
So it wouldn't have really made a difference if he had got sent off in terms of that. But even if United had went down to 10 minutes, man, the way they played in the second half, it wouldn't really have mattered. Like obviously you can't say that because you don't know what
way it
happened.
would have
But in
swung,
terms of
yeah.
what happened, even a 10-man United still would have blitzed Leicester in that second
Yeah.
half. Leicester were just whimpered basically to 3-0 defeat and away up the road to focus on whoever they have next week.
Yeah.
You have to
You've
give
seen United now fuck off home.
see Sancho as well. Second half, he was superb.
Excellent, yeah. He
Better
was.
like General.
Yeah, he was.
He was very, very
very
good.
good.
Very good.
That's good man management as well. By the
100%
manager.
that.
You got to give him credit for that because
Exactly.
give him that time away,
Yeah.
took his time with him, brought him back into the squad, and now he's firing.
And now with this talk of the new ownership and this going to be done before the summer, if I was other teams in the league, I would really, really be on high alert.
I'd be worried.
I'd be really worried because, in all seriousness, if Ten Hag keeps going in this upward trajectory, I think we could be looking at another 20-year period of dominance from United. Add money to what they already make, and think of the level of player they're going to be able to buy now as well. I'd be worried. I'd be worried if I was other teams, to be honest.
If you think about peak Premier League, it was that early 2000s period where United and Arsenal were going out at hammer and tongs.
Yeah.
It looks like United and Arsenal are coming back to the fray. So if that is the way it's going, I'm all for it.
Yeah.
You ever watch what's it?
Maybe you'll be an Arsenal fan again, will you?
Nah. That boat is sailed. I'm matured as a person. I still like to see them do well. It's like an old girlfriend. You're like, how you doing? I'm not going to go back. Like,
You know a lot about it, don't you?
Riz Lord McKinnon.
see the fact though, as you said as well about the way like Leicester just gave up, but that's to do with how good United have been at home. They basically went 2-0 down, and they were just like, this is over. We have no chance. That's how good United have been at home. And once you get that home form going, we've seen with like Liverpool in recent years, if you don't need to pick up as many points on the road.
On the road,
and then
yeah.
you can just pick up the road, and then your title contenders. Like, so.
I've mentioned this before about how United, Old Trafford used to be an absolute fortress for United, but that's wavered over the last couple of years. Like over the last couple of years, how many times you've seen teams, you watch the game and go, this is the first time Fulham have won at Old Trafford since 1972.
Yes.
Or something like, how many times over the last couple of years have you heard that stat?
Yeah,
after a
agreed,
game?
lad. Agreed.
So if United are to come back to what they should be in terms of name. Look, no team deserves to be anywhere.
Yeah.
But in terms, you think of big name clubs, Manchester United and the Premier League are nearly synonymous with each other.
Mm-hmm.
So if United are to get back to that level, they're going to need to make Old Trafford the fortress, and they seem to be doing that under Ten Hag.
Yeah.
So look, it's still early days in United's progress, but the only way's up for them.
Yeah, agreed, lad. All right, moving it on then to St James's Park, where a lacklustre Newcastle. They didn't even manage to pick a point up out of the game. They ended up getting beat, and really, it was a strange game because, listen, I thought Liverpool played all right, but I didn't think they were absolutely standout in the game. I thought Newcastle looked like they could have pushed forward in the final third, but then never really offered anything. It was like everything up until the final ball was great for Newcastle, and I feel like this is becoming a common feature with Newcastle. They can keep the ball out of the net, but they don't look like putting the ball in the back of the net. Oren, what did you make of the game in general? And look, Liverpool have now managed to climb up the table. They're now sitting in 8th. They're only a few points, really. I think 7 points off those top 4 spots.
Yeah.
And a couple of weeks ago, I personally didn't give them an absolute prayer of being anywhere near it. But looks like the new signings are starting to do their thing.
Yeah, look, I think especially us here and football fans in general, we need to remember this Newcastle team was a relegation threatened team only a year and a half ago.
Mm-hmm.
So this is a meteoric rise for Eddie Howe, having not bought in the massive names that were first linked whenever the takeover happened. So he's still doing an absolutely phenomenal job. And as you say about Liverpool showed why they are one of the biggest clubs in the world and why they've been one of the best clubs over the last few years. They're in a bad run of form at the minute if you talk about the whole season. Look, they've had a good 2 results there in a row. But I think Almiron scores that goal in the first half, Newcastle win the game.
Really?
I think Liverpool showed through experience and just determination why they're a better club than a better team than Newcastle because of their clinicalness. They were clinical with their chances. 2 quick goals. Cody Gakpo again, scoring again.
Yeah.
And Darwizzy scoring an absolute fucking banger. To tell you the truth.
Was great goal.
An absolute banger.
Darwizzy strikes back. Hey?
Honestly, I was glad to say I've never doubted the fella. Wonderful player.
Yeah, baller lad. But yeah, Liverpool just showed why they've been one of the top teams in the Premier League for the last few years, grinding out results like that. And obviously the red card to Pope didn't do Newcastle any favours, but it's all a learning curve for that team. That team's going to be in and around the Champions League fold in the next 10-15 years.
Yeah.
They really are going to be a force to be reckoned with years to come and with the right recruitment. So for the first proper full season under Eddie Howe and with a couple of new signings under his belt, he's doing a phenomenal job.
Well, Owen, look, with the way Newcastle have been this season, and I'm interested to get your take on this. Like, with the way it's gone this season, if they've dropped out of the top 4 now. What would success be for Eddie Howe this season? If he missed Europe completely, would it be a bad reflection on how the season's gone, do you think? Or
I don't think so, to tell you the truth. I don't think so. I think European football is more than achievable for Newcastle this season, and I think they will achieve it, and if they do achieve it, that is massive for a club like that. Absolutely massive. One of the biggest teams in the world, deservedly where they are at the minute. But as I said, this is a team that for the past 6, 7, let's say the past 10 years, this is a team that's yo-yoed in and around the relegation zone and the championship. Like, this is a huge rise for Newcastle. And it's not 100% down to do with this big massive takeover and loads of funds, because they haven't spent major money. Don't get me wrong, they've bought players for high prices, but they haven't went and spent all around them. They haven't bought the Kylian Mbappes and the Messis and the Neymars. They haven't done that when they have the financial muscle to do so. So for a team like that to be in the top 4 at the minute, a stalwart in the top 4 all season, look, if they drop a few places, that's fine. It's not going to be a big deal. Obviously, the Newcastle supporters are going to expect them to get European football this season. But in my personal opinion, for a team that's usually battling relegation at this stage of the season, usually scrapping for every point, every 3 points, if they get in the top 10, that's massive for them. For the first full season. Next season, build upon that. Maybe think about the Europa Conference League, then Europa League, then Champions League.
Yeah.
It's a long-term project for Newcastle.
Yeah.
And they have a young manager who's going to be there for the long haul.
Yeah, fair enough, lad. Fair enough. Owen, listen, on the Liverpool side of things, the 2 goals Liverpool scored were unbelievable.
They're great finishes.
I like the ball from Trent to Nunez and the finish from Nunez, excellent. The ball from Salah to Gakpo, crazy. Look, Liverpool obviously, as we've already said, they have been very in and out this season, but you would say the last 2 results have sort of spurred them on, and they are starting to look a little bit more like the old Liverpool. Obviously had Van Dijk back at the weekend as well, which is always a massive help. But listen, do they push on from here, or is there still that little chink in the armour with them this season?
They're starting to creep up, aren't they?
Yeah.
Like, I'm just looking at the table here. They're only 7 points behind Tottenham on 2 games in hand.
Yeah.
Like, those win those 2 games in hand, suddenly you're looking at Liverpool breathing down your neck for top 4 football. And look, we know as a club, Liverpool, if they have something, like we're saying at that with the COVID season, remember Alisson scored against West Brom to basically get them Champions League football.
Yeah. That
if they have something to strive to, even when they're not looking good, they can put these runs together. I still worry about their midfield. I still think their midfield is very weak.
Yes.
And I think other than Van Dijk, their backline's not great either. But that is kind of helped with having probably the best goalkeeper in the world behind them.
Yeah.
Like, look, even though Newcastle were down to 10 men, Alisson still made some really good saves. Their finishing in the first half was fantastic, and the second half was brutal. Jota should have had a hat trick.
Yeah.
I know he's only back from a long term injury.
Yeah.
But the amount of chances Jota had to score a goal, he should have had a hat trick in about 5 minutes.
Yeah.
But that's 2 massive results in a row for Liverpool now to get that bit of momentum, a bit of confidence, and a bit of swagger back in the team.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't put my house on them getting top 4, but I definitely think there's a strong possibility that they will sneak into that last Champions League spot, because Newcastle are dropping form serious.
Yeah.
Like we talked about their draws, and they didn't draw this weekend because they lost.
Yes.
It's almost like that meme is like, I've won, but at what cost?
But at what cost, yeah.
So that's concerning me about Newcastle. Tottenham's missing Bentancur,
Yeah.
who's been massive for them season. I know they had a good win at the weekend there. But before that, their form was starting to really slide after what happened against Leicester.
Yeah.
Look at Brighton and Fulham are 2 great stories. Do they have the substance to sustain a push for the top 4? So that's what's making me kind of think that Liverpool will sneak in there because of that experience and because they seem to be picking up form at the right time. I would like to see them maybe win 1 or 2 more games in the bounce here to try and solidify that comeback.
Yep.
But it's definitely within the realms of possibility now, which 3 weeks ago, if you had said Liverpool would be anywhere near the top 4, you'd been sat to the madhouse. Like.
Yeah, no, totally fair, lad. Totally fair. Connor, really was one of those sort of games for Liverpool where, as Owen said, they did have to put their game management heads on and they did have to see the result out. But I personally, just in my own opinion, I do feel like Newcastle were a bit toothless up front, to be honest. I know Alisson did make a few good saves, but there was none that really made me go, that should have hit the back of the net, or that was uncomfortable for Alisson. I did think it was all sort of
They're
handy.
decent saves, but they're saves you'd expect
A goalkeeper of his calibre to make, yeah, definitely. Look, obviously the January transfer window has come and gone, and Liverpool could have made themselves stronger but didn't. Yeah. Is there still enough in this squad, do you think, to push on from this particular position, or are they realistically just hanging off for the summer?
I think they're hanging on to the summer, to be honest, because I was not that impressed by Liverpool, if I'm going to be honest, at the weekend. They should have been 1-0 down after 5 minutes. Then they scored 2 goals, brilliant goals, good team goals. But see, from then, I just thought they didn't. I know you're saying about they managed the game, but they give Newcastle a lot of opportunities. Like your boy Shaw had a free header, Burns at the crossbar. They give away a lot of chances, and when your goalkeeper is man of the match and you're down to 10 men,
yeah,
the opposing team's down to 10 men, that would worry me. I do think the standard of top 4 this year for 4th place is not very high. Mm-hmm. That's why I said I think I went for my prediction for Spurs.
Mm-hmm.
So I do think Liverpool definitely have a chance of getting top 4, but they're grinding out wins. And as Owen said, like a few years ago, they got the header against West Brom. I thought they were terrible a few years ago, to be honest, but they got top 4 anyway. they needed a result. They needed to beat Newcastle, because if they had lost that game, they would have been in a really poor position. They're now 7, as Owen said, 7 behind Tottenham with 2 games in hand.
Yeah.
So that they're still there to get top 4, but I think they're definitely going to have to improve. And they play Man United next. And as a United fan, going to Anfield has not been fun. But see, now I'd be very confident we can go there and get a result, get a win.
Why do you not think the competition for top 4s?
Because Newcastle are just dropping points constantly. Tottenham.
But I would say between 5th and maybe 8th.
No, the competition. It's maybe the competition's good, but I don't think the standards as high as what would usually be, because usually Liverpool and City would be so much further ahead. Maybe a Chelsea would have been in there last year. Tottenham were better last year. I think there's been a lot of teams have dropped off. I think Chelsea have dropped off. I think Tottenham have dropped off. Liverpool obviously have dropped off. Newcastle have. They started well. They don't finish their chances. They play okay football, but they don't finish their chances. The Pope red card was just it's going to hurt them as well. So it's maybe not the competition; it's more the standard. I think.
But do you not think that means the standards ultimately raised if the normal teams that are competing for the top 4 aren't there, but teams that you definitely didn't expect to be competing for the top 4 are
no,
there?
I think it's more like there'd be like guaranteed teams to be in, like the Chelsea, the Tottenham. Maybe the standard of the lower teams has improved a bit, but I just think the top teams, it's dropped off. To be honest, I think like Newcastle have drawn so many games. They just lost to Liverpool, and they're still only 1 point outside the top 4. Like for that run of form, usually you'd be a lot further off. Tottenham haven't even been that great this season. I think they lost to, who did they lose to last week? 4-1 to Leicester, and they're sitting 4th in the league. Like that is crazy. I think Liverpool definitely can get top 4 just because. I don't think, as we said about the title, I don't think it's going to take as many points to get top 4 this year either.
Interesting.
That's what I feel about it.
Yeah.
All right, moving it on then. So, gonna just run through these last few games quick enough. So gonna come to you first, Oren. Spurs 2-0 against West Ham, but I feel like every week we chop and change our opinion about Spurs. Talk me through it.
Big bounce back for Spurs. Obviously a London derby, so it was a big match for Spurs. Heung-min Son, it's only going to be good for Spurs that Heung-min Son's back on the score sheet. He's ended that goal drought. We know how crucial he's been for them in the last 5-6 years. So hopefully that pushes him on a bit, which will push Spurs on a bit, because it'll take that burden off Harry Kane.
Yeah.
West Ham lacklustre, in trouble. To tell you the truth, they're in trouble. We've been saying for weeks and weeks and weeks that David Moyes is on thin ice, and it's only getting thinner. Look, Spurs, obviously Dorman's saying that Spurs haven't had a great season, and they haven't, and that's 100% true. But Spurs have had to deal with a lot this season as well.
Yeah.
And even, especially at the minute, with they've no manager.
Yeah.
Their manager is sitting in a hospital bed, or he's sitting at home recovering from a surgery. Like, that's tough for a side that's dealing, like, that's competing for top 4. That's tough for them, especially when they're still in the Champions League.
Yeah.
It's a lot to ask of his players, because it's a lot to ask of their captain. Is Harry Kane the captain, or is Lloris their captain?
I think
Lloris.
Lloris is the club
Lloris,
captain.
yeah.
Yeah.
But like, there's big personalities in that Spurs team, and it's a lot to ask on players such as Kane and Lloris to essentially pick the team and direct the team. Obviously, they know where their best positions are. They know how to play better and whatever. But look, it's only going to be good for Spurs, and as I said a couple of weeks ago, with Pedro Porro coming in, that it's going to push on the competition. That's another good performance from Emerson Morel. Got onto the score sheet.
Yep.
Yeah.
So maybe he can kick on from this as well, and Spurs fans might see him in a different light now that he's got a bit of competition, other than Matt Doherty.
Yeah. No, look, totally fair, lad. Totally fair. Owen, coming to you with the next one then. Fulham. Real snatch and grab win against Brighton. Probably the classic snatch and grab, you know.
Oh, daylight robbery.
Daylight robbery.
Daylight robbery.
Exactly. Look, listen, Fulham have now jumped up a place in the table. They're now above Brighton. So it was an important game for both sides. Talk me through it.
Well, as you say, as we both alluded to, like, Brighton were all over them. They had the ball in the net twice, chalked off for offside. They had numerous great opportunities. Dunk had a free header and from a corner, and usually when Dunk gets a header from a corner, there's only one place to score on.
Exactly.
It was a great finish by Solomon.
Solomon, yeah.
Solomon, yeah. And like, it's quintessential snatch and grab. Brighton will be kicking themselves. That's 2 games in a row now they've dropped stupid points, which they'd like to drew of Palace last week. They've lost to Fulham. And Brighton were in a position. Look, I know talking about Brighton in top 4 is like it would be a magical season for them. But
Yes.
Brighton were in a position to capitalise on that, and over the last 2 weeks, if they could have turned those drop points into 2 wins,
Yes.
they'd be in a great position now to sneak into that final spot. And
Yes.
they're kind of struggling a wee bit and throwing it away now because it's stupid points. Getting Everton Ferguson's back for them is going to be really big for them.
Yes.
He did look a wee bit like somebody who has been
Injured.
Yeah. He had like one decent enough chance, he couldn't finish it. Fulham, Leno was fantastic. And Leno's always been a great goalkeeper.
He has.
Even when he was at Arsenal before he got injured, there was a reason he's keeping Emilio Martinez nowhere near the team.
Yes.
Because he's a great goalkeeper and he was fantastic there yesterday. But Fulham now are sneaking up into that top 4 conversation. I don't think Fulham's going to get top 4. I think Fulham would probably end up the season in the 8th, 9th, 8th kind of territory.
Yeah.
They might sneak Conference League football. It remains to be seen if they will. But that was a massive result there for Fulham at the weekend.
Well, look, there's one question I do want to ask you about this game. It's becoming a little bit of a recurrent theme now where managers are quite aggressive towards referees. I know, obviously, Owen, like your dad is the chairman of Armagh GAA, so he knows a lot about how referees get dealt with, and he has been part of many conversations, especially in the world of Gaelic football, where referees have to be protected. Now, I'm going to be completely honest with you. I didn't think De Zerbi did enough to be red carded, but I'm interested to get it from your perspective, obviously being from a household that is so influential in the way that a game is governed and run. What's your take on it? Do you feel like, look, that has to be a red card because he is coming up quite aggressively to a referee? Personally, for me, it's just if you don't put your hands on them, I don't think they should be red carded.
I'd be inclined to agree with you that if you don't physically assault them, it's not. But it depends what's been said.
Yeah.
Look, he came up very aggressively. But I feel this kind of comes from the Premier League and basically all sports in the world. Is you cannot criticise referees in post-match analysis or anything like that.
Yeah.
Or you get suspended, which means there's no accountability. Like, if a player makes a mistake during a game and all of a sudden you weren't allowed to talk about that,
Yes.
he's going to make the same mistake again.
Uh-huh.
There's no forum available, even if it's private, out of the media's eye, to publicly criticise a referee. You should be able to go to the FA and go, look, these are great grievances we've had with the referee. The FA, you can pass that on that these grievances have been filed.
Yeah.
It's not a matter of calling out and going, oh, he's shite, he shouldn't referee again. It's not. I feel that would take away from abuse of referees. If there was a governed process where you could put in your grievances, because look, referees are people. They're going to make mistakes. I'm sure we've all been watching football. We've all said words that we shouldn't repeat about referees.
Yeah.
So, look, I feel it probably was right to give him a red card because you can't approach a match official with that much
Aggression,
such an
really.
aggressive nature.
Yeah.
But my personal viewpoint of it is I feel that comes from having no outlet to criticise referees whatsoever.
No, fair enough, lad. Fair enough. Connor, coming to another sort of daylight robbery as such. Crystal Palace and Brentford drew 1-1, but Patrick Vieira very adamant and very angry after the game at his side and how they didn't see that game out and didn't take 3 points there. It's probably, considering that Brentford are now on a 10-game unbeaten streak, that's probably the worst performance Brentford have had in those 10 games. So talk me through that one.
Well, it wasn't the most exciting game, to be honest. Obviously, Eze scores the goal, great header. Probably should have made it 2-0. I think they missed a great opportunity. And then 96th minute, Brentford score. And I think it's the second time this season they've done that to Crystal Palace, scored in stoppage time.
Yes.
It wasn't a great game, to be honest. I thought, as you said, Brentford were very poor. I think even their manager said after the game they didn't play up to their standards. They're now unbeaten, 10 or 11 games?
10 games, I think.
They're up the league. They're giving themselves a chance at Europe. You're not going to play well every game. Maybe that shows just the heart and what they have in their team, because they don't play well, but they still grind out a result. But that would have been a huge win for Palace, because Palace aren't that far above the relegation zone, and the way the results worked at the weekend, I think the bottom 2 or 3 of the bottom 4 won. So I think they're only 5. They're not that far off the relegation zone, and their form is not good.
Yeah.
They draw a lot of games, so that result would have been huge for them. But away to Brentford's not it's weird to say, away to Brentford they probably would have took a draw.
Yeah.
But when you're winning in the 96th minute. It was a great header.
Janelt, yeah.
Superb header.
It was very good.
Very good. I think that was like really one of their only big chances. They didn't really play very well, but for Brentford, point to point and to show the heart, especially with their home form, and to keep up the unbeaten run, you just got to give them credit, and shows how well managed the team they are.
Yeah, no, fair enough, lad.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Owen, coming to you with this one. I was very abruptly sent out of the last man standing competition that I am in this weekend because of fucking Chelsea. Pricks. Honestly, Harry Potter's doing a shit job down there. Fuck
He
a
should
lot of them.
Expelliarmus himself the fuck out of there.
Absolutely. Look, talk me
Stick
through
to
it.
Quidditch, lad.
Talk me through it. Look, you were talking about Moyes being on very thin ice there. Surely this is the same conversation here needs to be had about a man who has had £600 million to spend through this tenure at Chelsea. And if you can't beat Southampton, well, who the fuck are you going to beat?
Yeah, look, it's awful, to tell you the truth, and there isn't much that you can say about it. It's just awful. That's now one win in their last 10, Chelsea have, and they're winless in their last 5 games. It's ridiculous, especially considering the amount of money they've spent. Look, Southampton have struggled to find points all season, yet this is their first league double over Chelsea since 1993.
How many
They've
wins
done
do
the
Southampton
double.
have this year? Like, it must be 3 or 4, is it?
Couldn't
Not
be,
many.
And that's
couldn't
two they've
be,
got
many.
over
couldn't
Chelsea.
be any higher than 5.
No,
That's
and
crazy.
they've done the
Southampton
double
have
over
won 5
Chelsea.
games.
They've won 5 games, and two fifths of them has been against Chelsea. It's ridiculous. Almost half of their wins have came against Chelsea. Chelsea are just ass, to tell you the truth. They are. They're just not great. I seen a video of them earlier coming out of the dugout, and Azpilicueta was trying to get all the players fired up, and Mason Mount was just kind of like fucking strutting his way out. And
See his contract talks have stalled there
yeah,
today.
I seen that as well.
They're trying to make a
uh,
decision whether to keep him or sell him.
Einstein
I
was
get
saying
it
that
wrong.
this morning. Yeah,
What would you
seen
do?
that.
Would you sell him?
If it was Chelsea?
Yeah.
It's tough. It is tough because where does he go? Realistically,
Seen Liverpool.
Liverpool, I think, lad, yeah.
if he goes to Liverpool, he'll succeed at Liverpool. To tell you the truth, in a different system, I think he could succeed. But do Chelsea really want to get rid of a homegrown boy to another Premier League rival?
Maybe.
Because
Historically, not the type of
No.
club to care about getting rid of
Yeah.
homegrown talent, though, lad.
It's also to do with
No,
the
but-
transfer. It's like the profit or something. It's to do with the financial fair play. If they get rid of him, it could be like that's what they're probably going to do.
I'm,
Get rid
I'm
of-
sure Liverpool will pay 50 million for him.
Yeah.
Like,
now, look, I understand that as well. But do you not need to have a quota of English players in your squad as well? And
You do.
Chelsea are going to be on
Well, no,
thin,
no, we're not.
I
thin
know
legs for that.
European competition, you have to have a certain amount of homegrown players.
Yeah. Look, this is a player who, whenever he first broke onto the scene at Chelsea after a very successful spell at Derby County, was dubbed as the next Frank Lampard.
Yeah.
Like, and it just hasn't worked out for the fella. If it was personally, I would sell him. And all I see from Chelsea fans is that they want him gone as well.
Yeah.
Because he doesn't offer anything. They've bought a 95 million striker, Cam in Kai Havertz, and he does absolutely nothing as well. It looks like he's on the way out. I seen Fabrizio reporting that a couple of weeks ago. Look, Chelsea just, it's tough. Like, it's hard to say anything else apart from they need to get a new manager in. Potter, the question marks were over Graham Potter whenever he took that job. Was it too big, too quick?
Yeah.
He should have finished out the season at Leicester, or at Brighton. Apologies. Should have finished out the season at Brighton. Seen where he was there, he would have had offers all over him because he would have. Brighton now in their position would be in the same position under Graham Potter, I believe, as they are under De Zerbi. I don't think they've drastically improved since their time under Potter. I think they've stayed pretty consistent, and I think Potter would have grinded out the same results that De Zerbi has.
Well, he signed a lot of them players as well.
Yeah.
For Brighton, like
Exactly.
players that are doing well for him.
And I understand we always keep saying that this is Tuchel's team, and it is Tuchel's team. But do you know what? You're a manager. You have to deal with these personalities, and if you can't deal with these personalities, you have to go.
See, they've only got 4 goals in their last 10 games.
It's ridiculous.
They don't create enough. The striker was Fofana, I think, in the first half, and then he got took off. But
Yeah.
they didn't give him any opportunities, and they spent like 300 million, and they didn't buy a striker.
Yeah.
You know, Havertz isn't going to do it up top. Mount's been very poor for them. You know, the
And
new
Felix
signings.
isn't an out-and-out striker
The,
either.
the new signings are under pressure as well. I seen what he got Mudryk or whatever. He lost the ball like 20 times
Aye.
in 40 minutes,
Yeah.
which is like the most
That's
and a
brutal.
half in Premier League history,
That's brutal.
which is crazy. But
Welcome to the big leagues, kid.
I know. And then Sterling came on and done okay, but like Southampton had 1 clean sheet in their last 20 Premier League games before this game.
But you know
Like,
what?
that's crazy. That's
Then
how bad
again,
they are. And I think it's 3 or 4-0 Chelsea. Potter will get a win because they looked a bit better against Dortmund, but they just didn't create anything.
Then again, new manager
Yeah.
for Southampton.
And this
Just
guy,
that new manager
he's
bounce.
been coming out. I was thinking like they're going to get a new manager, in, but he's been coming out and he's saying, "I'm ready for this. I've been ready for this for 4 years." This guy. So I think
Fuck, maybe they will stick with him then.
they're going to stick with him now
It's
because that's a massive
so
result.
tight down the bottom there. Like it just takes 2 or 3 wins to completely change clubs'
Seasons.
season. Like
Yeah,
I still think
100%.
Southampton are destined to go down, but they're could
Yeah.
this catalyse a bit of a run that kind of gives them the great escape?
Yeah.
Remains to be seen. Look, it's a lot different for somebody like Graham Potter to go from a dressing room like Brighton, where we're the underdogs, go out there and show the world how good you are,
Yeah.
to all of a sudden dealing with massive egos and some of the best players in the world, where all of a sudden you're not the underdog anymore, you're expected to win every game. Now they've lost Aspilicueta, and best wishes to Aspilicueta.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Looked
Glad
like
you raised that, Owen.
Looked like a bad one, so everybody here at the bottom bins wishes him well and wishes him recovery, but that's going to be a massive blow to Chelsea to lose their captain.
Definitely.
Big time, lad. Big time. Look, I'm coming to you next anyway, Owen. Just that you're sort of talking about results changing teams this season, especially down the bottom. Everton picking up a 1-0 victory at home to Leeds.
Huge.
Look, Leeds played quite okay against United in their last 2 fixtures, but were absolutely brutal against Everton. But listen, shout out Seamus Coleman. That's probably one of the best goals you'll see a
It's a great
fullback
finish.
score.
And he
Cracking.
meant it.
And he meant it.
And he did mean it.
He
He absolutely meant
But
it.
look, when I first seen it, I was like, you start crossing that. But
Yeah.
you don't cross the ball like that, and there was nobody in the box. My man, Seamus Coleman, meant that. And It was a fantastic finish. Look at
Boob from Melia, though, you would say.
bit of a boob, not a massive boob, but you can see you
Just
can
nitty bitty titty committee.
There's a few bumps there. Look at he's anticipating the cross, as most goalkeepers will be there from any player. Never mind, no offense, Seamus, love you, but never mind Seamus Coleman.
Yeah.
Nobody in the world expected Seamus Coleman to go from it there, and fair play to him. A fantastic finish. And,
Yeah.
look, I love Seamus Coleman. I think everybody on this side loves Seamus Coleman.
Absolutely.
He was at Clonus, the Armagh beat Donegal.
Oh, Donegal, yeah.
So like, I just love Seamus Coleman the bits. He's a legend. But that's 2 massive wins now for Everton since Deitch has come in. We've talked about these beating the teams around you. That's a huge win. They're out of the relegation zone. Look, they're only out of it by the point or whatever it is.
Yep.
But still
Still out of it.
you can breathe that wee bit easier. You can sleep that wee bit easier at night, knowing that if the season ended today, you're not going down.
Yeah.
Leeds, expected more from them. We talked about last week how Leeds have been a bit annoyed. They've only got a point out of those 2 games against United.
Yep.
Their 2 performances probably warranted more than the point. But them, they just look like a completely different team. Look, we talked about how like when the Goodison crowd gets behind Everton, they become a different animal.
Yeah.
This season, for a lot of time, the team hasn't been behind the team. It's been a very hostile atmosphere. It's been woe's me. It's been about the board and stuff.
Yes.
But since Deitch has come in, he's got that support behind them again. And they've got 2 massive home wins. That's completely changed their fortunes. Look, there's a long way to go for Everton to save their season still. But they've given themselves a fighting chance, which a couple of weeks ago looked like they were dead and buried.
Yeah.
So, fair play to them. Big up Shamey Coleman for the goal of the season.
Yeah. Absolutely, lad.
Only ways up for Everton.
Absolutely. Connor, coming to you then with the last game in the game week. Bournemouth shockingly beating
Yeah.
Wolves at home,
Another
especially
robbery.
Exactly, another robbery. You know, especially considering Wolves have been on the up and up under Lopetegui, and really just a big shock, but a massive, massive result for Bournemouth.
It's a
Really,
massive
isn't it?
result. I think they're out of the relegation,
relegation
zone,
zone,
which
yeah.
is crazy because
Yeah.
I thought they were down. They hadn't. I think they had like 1 point from their last 5 or 6 games. But yeah, their XG was 0.09, and they won 1-0. They had 1 shot on target.
Crazy.
Tavernier got the goal. He done well. Solanke got the cross in. Wolves dominated the game, to be honest. Just couldn't take their chances. I think it was Traore missed a chance. Dawson missed a chance. Neto was very good in nets. What can you say? Just, with Wolves, we said it. Their real problem is they just can't score goals. They brought like Jimenez off the bench and Costa, but they just can't put the ball in the back of the net.
Yeah.
They at least should have got a point out of this game. A win for Wolves here would have that would probably not enough to keep them up, but it would have given them that gap.
That
Yeah,
gap,
that daylight.
yeah.
And now they're back
fighting
in and
amongst
around
it.
it, you know,
yeah.
and Wolves, especially seeing their manager come out after and was like, once we could see that goal, the way we played was just dreadful.
Yeah.
We just dipped and we just lost confidence, and they brought players on and they just didn't perform.
Yeah.
Boys come back from injuries and stuff, and Jimenez, who has not scored many goals, obviously had the bad incident and all with the head, but since then it's kind of, Wolves have not scored many goals.
Yeah.
So for Wolves, I do think they'll still be safe, and they were unlucky. They had 70% possession, but for Bournemouth, that was kind of like a must win. They needed
Yeah.
to win one of those, especially a team around them. And now they're outside the relegation zone. They drew Newcastle last week, starting to pick up a bit of form. They have a few new signings in.
Yep.
They look a bit more solid at the back.
Mhm.
You know, your boy Stevens is playing well, and I think they have a new signing in their centre back. So for Bournemouth, they still have a chance, which is crazy to think, because a few weeks ago I'd have said they were gone.
Yeah.
You know.
No, absolutely not. Well, look, that's it for the 10 games there. So, going to move on to our picks of the week this week. Connor, coming to you first.
Yeah.
Who is this week's player of the week?
The most informed player in the world at the minute, Marcus Rashford. 2 goals, just clinical, just playing so well. 16 and 17, 24 goals this season. He was just superb. I thought Ward-Prowse was great as a captain. Van Dijk obviously been back, but had to be Rashford. The way he's playing since the World Cup, he's just on another level.
Yeah, agreed,
Rashford.
lad. Agreed. Completely agreed. Owen, cream of the cream, boob of the week. Who are you going for this week?
We alluded to it earlier on, and as a man, you'd expect to be nowhere near the boobs here. Erling Haaland for the miss against Forest. Look, it's not just the miss; it's the size of the game and how big a moment it could be in the title race.
Yeah.
Because if Arsenal do go on to win the league, that's the type of thing City's going to be looking back on.
Yeah.
Is not turning those draws into wins. So Erling Haaland, congratulations, son. Another one to add to your illustrious trophy count.
Well, you know what to do now. You need to captain Erling Haaland.
Haaland this
Triple
weekend. 'cause
captain
he's-
this week.
Yeah.
Six
6
incoming.
goals.
Yeah,
next
yeah.
Triple
game.
captain.
Get it on, get it on. My fantasy pick of the week this week is an Arsenal player. Nice wee double game week for them this week. I'm going Bukayo Saka. Bukayo Saka. We trip away to Leicester and a home game against Everton. He's playing superb at the minute. Like Connor said, yes, everything does seem to go through him at the minute, but he's still scoring goals and creating assists for his team. So I think Saka's going to have a nice wee game week ahead of him. I have him captained in my side, so I would recommend everybody else to do the same. OD. Sorry, actually, just before I go to you, OD, not that my opinion holds much fucking weight anymore, to be honest, because
Big up
it's
Ivan Toney.
fucking Ivan Toney, the prick. I go in, build a bet there, you bollocks. OD, what is your opinion of the week?
Yeah, OD's opinion of the week is, we've alluded to it the entire podcast, Marcus Rashford is the best player in the world on current form. I don't think anybody can argue, so don't even try.
Oh,
But
definitely.
I'm going to put a poll onto the bottom. Fuck off, Owen.
I didn't do anything.
No, mate. The viewers can't see it. And I told Owen to fuck off last week too. Whenever Man United's mentioned, he gets up as if he's about to suck off this microphone and as if he's about to say this big long rant about United. And he just done the same thing there, so I told him to fuck off. And I'd like the boys to join me in telling Owen to fuck off.
Well, I already do think he's a knob. Like,
You can't argue it, like the stats are there. Rashford is unbelievable, and United are winning every week.
Going to argue.
What are you going to do, Dad?
I was going to say Victor Osimhen. That's alright.
Who the fuck's Victor Osimhen?
he could be Man United striker next year. So.
I know who Victor Anichebe is, but I don't know who Victor Osimhen is.
Another great Nigerian striker there.
So, yeah, Marcus Rashford's the best player in the world. I'm going to put it onto the Bottom Men's Instagram. I'm going to put a poll up, so make sure you go and vote on that. Everybody apart from Owen McCurdle. Thank you very much.
Okay, moving it on then to guess the player. I believe you have a right few players this week. Owen?
Yeah, well, I've only done 3. Because I thought 6 was going to take a long time.
That's first, to be
so
honest.
I've done 3. We'll just stick to 3. Okay, so we're currently on 5-2-1.
6.
6-3.
6-3-1, is it?
6-3-1, that,
Well,
yeah.
the 6 being Connor Richards.
If everybody else is getting another point, then I have 2, please.
The 3 being Mr. Connor Dorman, and on his lonesome with his 1, with his tail between his legs, it's Owen McCurdle. Okay, so they are a bit easier. I'm not gonna lie to you, they are a bit easier. So, listen close, and let's see how we get on. Okay, so number 1, I've played in 3 different decades. Number 2, I am a one club man. Number 3, My dad and me both won the Champions League for the same club. Not at the same time.
I'm going to
obviously.
buzz in
Okay.
Maldini.
Well then, Paolo Maldini. So it's now 6-4-1. Okay. Next one. I am a 3-time Premier League winner. Number 2. When playing for Crystal Palace, I scored 1 goal in 14 appearances. Number 3. I have played for 4 clubs in England across different divisions. Number 4. I have played in 3 World Cups and 2 Euros and have over 107 appearances for my country.
Buzz.
Connor.
Ashley Cole.
What a shout that is!
Ah,
Ashley Cole, yeah.
Yeah.
The last clue was going to be I'm regarded as one of the best
would-
ever in my position.
I would never have got that.
Were you? Yeah.
Lad,
Ashley Cole,
I put the hand up and I was like, has he played in 4 divisions? And put it down again.
Because I was
And then I'm
thinking,
like, you got it in just before me.
it was Palace, Arsenal, Chelsea, and Derby. Was
Yeah,
it
he played
all?
Derby.
Wasn't
Those
it?
were
Yeah,
the clubs,
that's
yeah.
what it was in my head. I was like,
Yeah.
yeah, okay, I think
And
it
he
is.
had stints at Roma and LA Galaxy in between them. Okay, last one. I am currently playing in the Swiss Super League. Number 2. I have won league titles in both Turkey and England. Number 3. I made my debut for Arsenal in a League Cup match against Rotherham in 2003. Number 4. I am an Arsenal invincible. And number 5. I have 8 goals in over 652 appearances. Who am I?
Buzz.
Connor.
Complete stab in the dark here. He was part of the Invincibles team and is still playing football now.
Still playing in the Swiss Super League.
Is it cliche?
Gail Clichy, ladies and gentlemen, Connor Richards.
Fair play. I wouldn't have got that one either.
I
So.
wouldn't have known.
Fair play.
So, the updated scores. Connor is now on 8. Dorman on 4. And once again, with us, we have Owen McCardle with his tail between his legs on 1. Owen, what the fuck, lad? You buck up your ideas here, lad.
Lad, there's no point winning by like 20 points. It's all about being behind by 20 and then winning by 1.
Yeah, well, I don't even know what to say to you, lad. I'm not gonna lie to you. But I think that leads us on well to the predictions before we finish up.
100%. 100%. Let me just get the
Who's
fixtures
now
up
playing
here.
this weekend?
Fuck off, Owen.
Yeah,
We're not playing.
But it doesn't matter who they're playing, you're probably not going to pick them. So, match week 25, no Manchester United playing this weekend, no Brentford playing this weekend, no Newcastle, and I can't remember who the other team is. Brighton, yeah, not playing because of the cup final. If you are listening to this episode, we will have a special cup final preview. We are going to have 2 cup finals to look at, the League Cup final in England and the League Cup final in Scotland, because Big Baby in the corner there needed to cover Celtic.
I'm talking about them fucking like once.
Big baby.
Okay, so game week
Just for that, I'm predicting Newcastle.
Game week 25 then kicks off on the Friday night. Fulham at home to Wolves. Owen?
Fulham.
Owen?
Draw.
Draw. Connor?
Wolves.
Wolves. I'm also going to say Wolves. Saturday then, Everton at home to Villa. Owen?
Everton.
Draw.
Draw.
I'm going to go Villa. Leeds at home to Southampton.
Southampton.
Draw.
Leeds.
It's 3 in a row.
I'm going to say Southampton. Leicester at home to Arsenal.
Draw.
Arsenal.
Arsenal, I think I'll go as well. West Ham at home to Forest.
Forest. Actually, no, draw.
West Ham's at home, are they?
Yeah.
Draw, yeah.
Yeah, West Ham have to win this game. I'm going to go West Ham.
West Ham. I'm going to say draw. Bournemouth at home to City.
City.
Yes.
Draw.
You're going to go draw, yeah. I was going to go draw. And
Well,
I
I
was
seen
like,
your face, and I
"Ah."
was just like, do it.
I'm going to go City. Palace at home to Liverpool.
Palace.
Liverpool.
Draw.
I'm going to go Liverpool. Spurs at home to Chelsea then on the Sunday.
Can both teams lose? I want Spurs to win, but I think it'll be a draw.
Yeah, Chelsea are going to continue to be absolutely mid because they've won 8, they've lost 8, and they've drawn 7, so it's going to be a draw.
Who's at home?
Spurs.
Yeah, Spurs.
Yeah, I'm going to say Spurs as well. Wednesday then, Arsenal at home to Everton.
Arsenal.
Arsenal.
Yeah, Arsenal.
Yeah, I'm going to say Arsenal too. And then Liverpool, the reverse fixture from the controversial wee FA Cup tie, Liverpool at home to Wolves.
Wolves pumped them 4-1 the other week, so they're going to beat them again.
Liverpool.
Draw.
Draw, I think.
Can I just say to the viewers at home, we do apologise for last week's predictions. They were horrifying.
Mine have just been horrible the whole time, so.
In fairness,
I
it was
apologise.
a mad week.
It was a difficult week,
Yeah, it was tough.
but we do apologise. We're meant to be the experts, so to speak, when we come onto this podcast, and we got near enough all of them completely wrong.
Yeah. Number one football podcast in the world, like, and
Yeah.
can't predict fucking 10 games in the Premier League, like, but sure. What do you do? Well, listen, folks, that's going to wrap it up for this episode. As I said earlier, we're going to have a nice wee cup final preview out for you later on this week as well, so please listen out for that one. You will enjoy it. Thanks for all the support as per usual. Find us on the Parlay Sports app, PRLY Sports, on the Apple App Store, where you can jump in and have a footballing conversation. Please follow us at Bottom Bins Pod is our handle on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. Especially give us a follow on TikTok. There's some funny content up there that you might enjoy if you're a fan of the podcast. And as always, folks, keep it bottom bins.
Keep it
Keep it
bottom.
bottom bins.